The Pebble Beach Concours is what I would consider the Super Bowl for the collector car world. And I like to take it all in. I like to get up stupid early in the morning and make it down to where the truckers are and where these precious cargo loads are being unloaded, ready for their big day on the lawn. It's always a very surreal scene, the way it's lit. It's always a little foggy down there. The smoke and moist air and I don't know, just all these machines getting pulled out and started up is just a fantastic thing to see. Now, I took a bunch of video throughout the whole day of being there, including some of offloading and things like that. But I realized that if I put all of that together along with the still photos, that it would end up taking hours to see it all. So I may go back and add some video in another video, kind of a compilation of clips. But I figured this is a good way to take you through the day, just purely image by image. So once the cars are unloaded, I wanted to get over to the Pebble Beach Lodge to where the cars start coming in. Haggerty throws this little party called Dawn Patrol, so you can get on the lawn and see the first cars roll onto the lawn. It's always a special thing to see and hear these cars in motion, whether it be an E-Type Jag or some sort of one-of-one Ferrari or whatever. The variety and the pageantry of all of these cars is just downright overwhelming. So I found a good spot to watch some cars go by. Again, I will share some video from the entrance of cars onto the lawn probably later on. But take in some of these photos of stuff like this insane Tabalago rolling by. To see a car with this design actually in motion, it just blows your mind. It is like a drop of water flowing by. And you just get totally taken into the design of that car and the overall presence that it has when it's on the road. Pressures are as high as they could ever possibly be as these cars roll onto the lawn. Many of the owners of these cars are from other countries. These are cars that have had absolutely top-level restorations done to them. They are done to perfection. Bringing them out here to Pebble Beach is putting them up against the very best of the best. And so the pressure is always on. And these are old cars, still. And occasionally there's mechanical problems, things overheat, waiting in line. And it's always interesting to see folks deal with that sort of pressure. The other thing that's really nice about showing up early for Dawn Patrol is that you can get up close to the cars and actually get some decent photos of them without the whole crowd that piles in when general admission opens up. And I'm here for the cars. I'm also here for the people, but I love to spend time really pondering each and every one of these machines and getting soaked up into the details. It's really overwhelming to see what is there. These cars were from a section that was a special display of Le Mans cars, cars that had actually been raced there at Le Mans. This Ferrari was insane. The color combination was absolutely spectacular. Here's another amazing Talbot. Look at the shape and the design and the color of that machine. My God, if that doesn't get your hair standing up, you better check your pulse. Seriously, you see the rarest of the rare when it comes to automobiles here. It is an expensive show to attend. Getting general admission tickets, it's over $500. But as you can see by looking at these photos, it's probably worth it. At least it is to me. I enjoy being in the presence of these cars, being able to see them out in the open, being able to talk with the owners, hear the stories, hear the history. Every one of these owners of these cars or the people that are representing them have a folder of the history of the car and the provenance behind it. And as you well know through watching my videos, the story behind the car is often more interesting than the car itself. But when you're dealing with a super interesting car like that Bugatti or any of the other things on the lawn, it's just fantastic. This car in particular, this Evian Voisin Aerodyne, phenomenal car. This one stood out in the pack for me. The details on it were just spectacular. It was so otherworldly when it came down to design and color and detail. The more I looked at it, the more I freaked out. And it's fun to get lost in a car like that when you see it. I mean, holy crap, what a machine. In any case, as the day progresses, it really gets a little overwhelming. It's the pictures and stuff all pop up, and you just kind of get lost in it. So it's really not until I go back to see the images that I've captured while I'm there that I realize what I was standing among when it came to all of the crazy machines. It's just each and every one of these is phenomenal. Wow. And the detail, too. When the hoods are open and people are doing their final details, you get a chance to see the quality of these restorations. You see how much perfection is the focus. And it's humbling to look at and realize that everything I do is shit in comparison. But it's also inspiring to see to see the level that can be attained. There are survivor cars there as well. They have a preservation class. And even the preservation class, the cars are spectacular in condition. But there is hope for guys like me that find some sort of interesting barn find and to be able to bring it out on the lawn here in such a top-level show. Certain cars are parked right along the water's edge, usually for special displays. This display of Tabalago Sport cars was just spectacular. You see the bay back behind there. It's absolutely gorgeous. I will say that it was pretty damn cold there this morning when I saw all of these machines. I was glad I brought my jacket, and I kept moving because if you stood still, you got cold pretty quick. And of course, this was early morning, so eventually the sun came through the marine layer there and broke out. This Rambler here, you may have seen this in the video that I posted of the San Marino Concours. That car ended up coming there as well. Amazing details up close. There was a special display of McFarland automobiles. This one here, Fatty, is the license plate that was owned by an actor called Fatty Arbuckle back in the day. Spectacular car that's a part of the Nethercut collection out in California. Fun hood ornaments. That one had a special story behind it that the owner shared with me. The Rolls Royce there was spectacular. The brass and nickel era cars. That Fiat was amazing. Delahaye, Bugatti, Lagonda, that was a Voisin, sorry. They had a special display of Graber-bodied cars, so including that Bugatti and the Duesenberg that you saw before it, as well as these later model Graber coach builds. And every year they do that. They honor a coach works designer from back in the day, and it's always neat to see those cars that were really one-offs all together as a body of work, so you can see the progression of the way the coach work went throughout the builder's history. The Duesenberg class is always interesting. The guy in the dark hat there is my buddy Steve. He's the head judge for the Duesenberg class. He's a good buddy of mine, and it's always fun to watch him work and see him get real picky. And the judges have an insane job at this show because every single car is perfect. And it's a major challenge to find differences and flaws and so on and so forth between some of these cars. And they do give the judges some leeway when it comes to to push things over the edge when it comes to the rarity of the car or the overall beauty of the car. It's not just the condition of it, although that is the major part of the judging format. When there's a tiebreaker, sometimes that tiebreaker comes down to the overall presence of the car and the way that it makes all the judges feel. The green ribbons, when you see those are cars that competed on the Tour de Elegance, which is a drive that they do on Thursday every year. If your car actually finishes that, you get that green ribbon, and that too can be a tiebreaker when it comes to judging. You actually get extra points for completing the tour. This Oscar was a really spectacular car. It didn't necessarily stand out when you first walked through it. It was almost plain compared to the majesty and craziness that's around it, but the details of this one completely sucked me in, from those little turn signals on the tips of the fins on the front fender to the book of the restoration and the details. This was a one-off coach-built car. Spent a lot of time with the handler of that car, sharing the whole story of it, as well as the owner of the car, pointing out all of its history and that sort of thing. And that was something that you would never get if you don't attend an event like this. Of course, fashion is a play. A lot of people show up dressed to match their car. It's like going to the Kentucky Derby and wearing a crazy hat. That's a part of the fun of this event, is that it's not just the cars, it's the people as well. You can't get any fancier when it comes to a car show than here at Pebble Beach, so you might as well dress the part. They had a display of alternate propulsion also as well, so very interesting cars when it came down to the motive power. They also had a display of historic hot rods. These were all 32 Fords that have great history to them, and it was wild to see hot rods on the lawn at Pebble Beach. I will say they did put them off to the side so that they didn't infect all the rest of the crowd, perhaps. But every single one of these cars had some spectacular history to it. This one here, an Owen Magnetic. This was a part of the alternate propulsion thing. Very interesting car. I don't really know the whole history of that. But it was super interesting to see. Look at the radial engine in that particular car. Spectacular. They had some Alfa Romeo Grand Prix cars from back in the day. Amazing display of some of the early racing cars by Alfa. Spectacular cars. Just to see one of these cars is a treat. You might see it in a museum somewhere, but to see a collection of a half a dozen of them or so all in one spot and to be able to get right up next to it is a truly special treat. This was another car that sucked me in. This was a Glasser-bodied Steyr. It's a German manufacturer car. Very similar styling to the Mercedes that we're working with. And it was kind of fun to see that and see a car restored to a super high level like that. Fun stuff, interesting people. There's characters everywhere. The people are as fun to watch as the cars. And as the crowd starts to load in and it makes getting good photos of the cars a little more difficult, I tend to turn my eyes towards the people and enjoy the people parade. I mean, there are some magnificent specimens of human beings at this event, as well as the automobiles that brought them there. I love this early 300 SL, perfect license plate on that Ferrari. Just everywhere you look, there's something fantastic. The Le Mans display was really super cool. Look at that BMW. I mean, come on. Love it, love it, love it. In any case, I spent as much time as I possibly could walking around and seeing everything, trying to get good, clear shots of the cars. By now, the crowd is starting to fill in. And so it's getting a little bit harder to see. This Rolls Royce kind of sucked me in, and I thought it was pretty cool. It looked very much like a car that my father had back in the day. There were some sort of star faces walking through the crowd, as you saw in those previous photos, actors and so on and so forth. Here's Jason Torchinsky, Bo Bachman, the guys from the Autopian website. We had a great conversation about the Brubaker box here on the lawn at Pebble. And so it's going to be fun to see what comes from that. I went back for another lap of this Voisin. I just absolutely love that car. The floating windshield, the crazy door handles, the way that roof slides. Every little bit of this thing just blew my mind. So to me, this was my pick for the one that I would have loved to have brought home. It's perhaps not the rarest or most valuable car in the lot. That Ferrari would certainly have more value, but that Voisin was absolutely fantastic. More great people watching. The caviar cart was there, so you could have your caviar at your show. Um, and, uh, and that's really what it's all about. I mean, it's kind of hilarious how over the top the event is, and the way that people dress up for it. But it's all in fun. Everybody's having a great time, including myself. I actually put on clean clothes and a jacket and tried to look the part. And now the crowd's starting to get a little crazy, and this is usually when I start working my way out. Once I, have kind of seen every car there, and then it gets packed up full of people, since I get there so stupid early, I usually take that as my cue to bail out. And so I did that this year. Once I kind of saw everything cruising around, I decided to make my way out front to the show to see whatever else was out there. And there are more cars that are actually outside the show that are worth seeing. So these cars, obviously within the Pebble Beach grounds, this you need that admission ticket for. However, they do have a concept lawn, as they call it, where the exotic automakers bring out the latest and greatest of their creations. That is something that you can see when you just get there on the grounds. And this year there was also a Ferrari-only Concours event that they called Casa Ferrari out front that was interesting to see. So let's go out to the concept lawn here. You can see some of these crazy creations. This is the future of automotive stuff. A lot of electric stuff, a lot of crazy, exotic, wild stuff that will never see production, and then probably a few things that will. I'm not super into all of this stuff, so bear with me if I don't know the names and models of all of that sort of stuff. I just don't. My interest is in vintage stuff, not necessarily modern supercars like this. This Lincoln concept car was crazy. The Glickenhaus boot, there's the Lincoln again. The Zinger vehicles, those are quite crazy. These are 3D printed automobiles, and it was wild to see them there. A lot of technology, a lot of interesting stuff. Not my world, but it's really fun to see it. And that looks like a concept car. It should be. Will these designs make it into production? Only time will tell. So now let's wander through the Casa Ferrari exhibit. This was a curated Ferrari display showing the newest Ferrari Daytona SP3, as well as generational Ferraris throughout the line. Some spectacular early examples. This guy praying to one right there in 1949. And it was really cool the way they had them laid out. You could see the whole progression of the Ferrari brand with the absolute best quality examples of each of them. Of course, the early stuff attracts me most. I think that Ferrari America, I think this era of Ferrari is just truly, truly beautiful. As time goes on, they tend to get a little crazier, as things do. But it's fun to see them all. And this was an event that if you were just on the grounds there, you could go and check it out. There was no admission to this particular display. And so that was a treat for anybody that just came down to hang out, that didn't want to spend the $500 to get into Pebble Beach, or $525, I think it was. Really awesome Zagato bodied stuff. Anytime I see a Zagato body, you can see that design quality that is just stellar. Details and stuff that Zagato did just blow my mind. In any case, beautiful racing Ferraris. Everything was spectacular. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not a Ferrari guy, probably because I can't afford to be a Ferrari guy, admittedly. But it's hard not to get excited about some of this crazy early stuff. The modern exotic stuff, I just don't get it. Too much money, too much ego. I'm an old car guy, and I guess I always will be. This was really a treat to see this collection of Ferraris out there. I was pretty dead dog tired at this point, so all I did is I walked through, snapped pictures of this stuff, and once I was done with the row of Ferraris, I started the long walk back to where my truck was. The one thing about getting there stupid early is that if you get there before the guards all get there, you can actually find a place to park. If you show up late, finding parking for this event is really hard. Most people end up Ubering in or whatever. Anyway, on my way out, I stopped by the Mercedes display. They had some spectacular, crazy stuff, including this Maybach concept car that was just, I don't know, downright disgusting, straight up, but interesting just the same. Love to see the details of it and the innovation. The C111 was a really spectacular car. Really awesome AMG concept car here. Had gradiated tint on the windows so that you could actually see out but not see in. That was very interesting. Changing lighting on it. The Vision AMG, they called that. It was quite interesting. And again, concept cars for the future of Mercedes, as well as some vintage stuff parked out front on the lawn as well. And great to see those cars there. This one here belongs to a friend of mine, Belinda from LA. Nice 540K Mercedes from the Arturo Keller collection. Beautiful car. And some production models as well. There was also a Japanese car show out there in the entrance to all of it. Japanese classic cars, very interesting ones, both tuned and stock. Super cool to see that. But anyway, from this point, I made it to my truck, and this car here was announced as the winner of Best in Show. A truly spectacular Duesenberg. Absolutely amazing. I saw this car on the tour at the start of the event on Thursday, and obviously got that video of it rolling in as well. So in any case, I hope you enjoyed my little walkthrough slideshow here of the Pebble Beach experience. It is truly the most amazing collection of cars you will ever see at any event anywhere if you are into classic automobiles. The quality is insane. And just having a car on the lawn is proof that you've got something very special. In any case, if you would like to see video clips from the arrival of the cars and the things that I got on the lawn there, please comment down below. If I get enough comments, I'll put together another little compilation of these cars in motion. And please subscribe and watch for more videos from the whole Monterey Car Week experience. It's been really fun to share it with all of you. Keep on digging them up and driving them. Bye-bye.